Between now and the end of this video, I will play you a sound which is absolutely terrifying, certainly in context of what it was actually meant for. It hasn't been played in context for over 2,000 years or so, and yet without doubt when you hear this sound you will know exactly what it was for. Now, both the Romans and the ancient Greeks wrote about this sound.
Suitable to the tumult of war.
Long after the battles it would have taken place in, certainly in places like this, Danebury Hill Fort, and they wrote it wasn't just the warriors making this sound, it sounded like the entire countryside came alive with this terrifying noise. This is called a Carnyx. It's bronze and from Iron Age Europe, nearly 2 meters tall, topped with the head of an animal held high above the person playing it. Now on the face of it that seems like a really simple story. A war horn built to intimidate, built to give a sound way above the chaos of the battlefield. But there is a problem. You see, there are many contradictions from where it's been found to its intended use, its depiction on art and coins. None of those seem to make sense. So perhaps the Carnyx isn't quite the simple story that I thought it was. The strange thing about the Carnyx is, well, I kind of thought that I knew everything there was to know about it. I've seen artwork, I've seen reconstructions, heard the terrifying sound. I've kind of filed it under Iron Age weapon that is completely terrifying, but that's it, end of story. That's probably not the worst summary I've done of an object in the world. This thing is extraordinary, but just not necessarily worthy of a video. Standing almost 2 meters tall, it's made from bronze and held upright above the player's head. Instead of ending with a simple bell like a modern trumpet, the Carnyx finishes with the head of an animal.
The boar, and here's one I've made earlier. The boar was a really prominent animal in sort of the menagerie of the Iron Age, and so it really would have been significant to be as a standard for particular groups that wanted to express power or just strength. There is at least one that sort of looks more serpent-headed, or we might think it even dragon-esque. So I think it's less important about the animal and more about just sort of the imposing domineering sort of imagery, making it fearful noise and a fearful image.
Now generally only fragments of these actually survive, which is why potentially one of the reasons why they've become so famous. We have the likes of John and Kenny who spent decades playing reconstructions of this, trying to work out the sound it would make. It covered 5 octaves, and then you hear the sound. That's great. That's really good actually. That is really good. Right, I've got your feet in and I've definitely got the top in there, so you're fully extended there, yeah? For me, it doesn't sound like anything else. It's unsettling, it's raw, it's wild, and after hearing it, well, case closed. So, job done. That all makes good sense to me. Iron Age war horn. At least it made sense until I started looking into some archaeological features of this war horn. You see, if all we had were these Greek and Roman accounts of exactly what this was, well, we'd probably be very satisfied with war horn. But archaeology has a very wonderful habit of raising yet more questions we'd not considered. Take Desford in north-east Scotland. Back in 1816, workmen cutting peat uncovered the bronze head of a Carnyx. Not in a battlefield or a hill fort where you may expect it, a peat bog. For 2 centuries it remained the finest example ever found in Britain, and it's still the piece that most people recognise today. 1768, and some workers were dredging part of the river Witham near a ferry, and they came across what was a Carnyx.
That's a really interesting case in finding something that is exceptionally rare. Early antiquarians using scientific thinking to go, right, we need to find out how this was made and what it was made of, and getting it so wrong that they've actually destroyed the subject.
And Britain isn't alone. In 2004, archaeologists excavating the sanctuary at Tintagnac in France discovered one of the most extraordinary Iron Age deposits ever found. Buried together were weapons, helmets, cauldrons, fragments from several Carnyxes, deliberately placed alongside other prestigious objects in what is widely interpreted as a sanctuary deposit. Now, it's important not to run ahead of the evidence here. None of this proves the Carnyx wasn't a war horn. Weapons themselves often ended up in rivers, lakes, wetlands during the Iron Age. So perhaps the Carnyx simply shared the same fate. But it does remind us of something really important. The objects archaeologists recover aren't always found where they were used. Well, perfectly, that gives us our next question. If this is associated with the battlefield, why does one of the most famous images of the Carnyx show us something completely different? the Gunderstrup cauldron, found in a peat bog in Denmark, 1981, and quite possibly one of the most beautiful pieces of Iron Age ironwork ever to be discovered. Nearly 70 centimetres across, made from silver and probably crafted somewhere in the Balkans before eventually making its way hundreds of miles north. Even today, archaeologists still debate exactly who made it, who used it, and how it ended up where it did. But I'm interested in one tiny part of it, this panel, because there are 3 Carnyxes. Now, for anybody trying to reconstruct one of these objects, the Carnyx, well, this image now became one of the most important things. So what exactly is going on that image?
We don't know precisely what those panels are trying to tell us, but we can sort of guess. The best guess would be that probably these are the tumult of war horns that are being played in a battle scene. But just as equally, they could be part of processions, they could be part of festivals, they could be part of almost anything. Because, you know, at the end of the day, it's a trumpet. You can have it in a mariachi band, or you could have it at a funeral march. It could be anything.
So that image on the cauldron, well, it doesn't rule out the Carnyx from being a war horn at all. It just perhaps shows that the importance of that Carnyx in their world stretched far beyond the battlefield and maybe into other aspects of their life too. Then, rather unexpectedly, the Romans give us a surprising clue. So by this stage in my researching journey, well, the Carnyx isn't just turning up in the archaeological record, it's also turning up in art, and by art I mean that of the coin. Some of the late Iron Age tribes of Gaul chose to place the Carnyx on their own coinage. Oddly, the Romans did exactly the same. After Julius Caesar's campaign in Gaul, where we start to see the Carnyx appear on Republican coin too. But this time though, the message seems rather different. The instrument is shown amongst captured arms and military trophies, transformed into a symbol of Roman victory over the peoples who once carried it. Well, that's really fascinating, because all of a sudden this bronze instrument now becomes instantly recognisable for both sides. Either way, the Carnyx had become far more now than a musical instrument. It had become symbolic.
Yes, I mean, absolutely it's going to be about the visual. I mean, you don't need to, I mean, I play very poorly, I play a little cornet. You don't need to be a 6-foot long instrument to make a lot of noise. So the fact that it's increasing your height, it can be seen as you're coming up up the hill. It's the first thing you see, it's the first thing you hear. So if you're trying to intimidate someone, that's a pretty good way to do it.
Now, when I first started looking into the Carnyx, I thought the story was a simple one. The Iron Age war horn, the terrifying sound, that was about it. Couldn't be further from the truth. The bronze head in Scottish peat bogs, fragments buried carefully within the sanctuary in France. 3 Carnyxes worked into one of Europe's most extraordinary ancient artworks, their image stamped into coins both of the people who carried them and the empire that conquered them. Now, none of that replaces the story that we thought we knew about it, but it simply reminds us that people are rarely as simple as the labels we stick on them, especially over a vast period of time. The Carnyx could indeed have been for many uses. After all, the bell can celebrate a wedding, mourn a funeral, or warn a village of danger. Only the moment changes, and then there's a sound. For almost 2,000 years, nobody had heard this sound, and then only in the last 200 or 300 years have we slowly and painstakingly, fragment by fragment, put this back together. Now, maybe we haven't got that perfectly right, but that's okay, because we can now sit and stand in places like that, and we can actually hear this echo from the Iron Age. Okay, just quick before we sign off, really important. Number 1, would you like the opportunity to go on an archaeological field school here in the UK? No experience required. Number 2, the opportunity to meet me as well, because I'll be there one day per course. Have a look and see what Wendy's got on offer.
So if you think Carnyxes are rare, the one thing that might be even rarer is the opportunity to take part in really cutting-edge archaeology, excavation on a field school at the site of a rare Roman hoard. The excavation will run for 3 consecutive weeks at the beginning of September. You'll choose 6 days, and those 6 intense days will include excavation, finds recording, site photography, geophysical survey, and we'll even be doing some environmental sampling. So if you've ever wondered what ancient seeds and pollen might have looked like, we'll see if we can try to find some. Sign up, the link's below. come dig with me.
How cool is that? Right, sign up below. As Wendy said, there's not a lot of time left, so get clicking, and I'll see you there in September.